Hello everybody, my name is Aaron aka Brick Matrix and I am back with another custom review for you guys here today. This is the Munificent class light frigate. This is a CIS Navy design. It's a warship that was mainly used by the International Banking Clan and the Confederate of Independent Systems, mainly during the Clone Wars. It was originally called the Banking Clan frigate, and it saw use a little bit before the Clone Wars. It was mainly used to protect the interests of the Banking Clan and protect their assets and basically harass worlds that were in debt to the Banking Clan. When the Clone Wars began, a large amount of them were donated to the Confederate of Independent Systems Navy, CIS Navy I should say, so I don't mumble it too much. But this became basically the backbone of the Separatist Navy. There was more of these than any of the other ships out there, and you know, this thing played a major role in many battles during the the Galactic Civil War. The Munificent class was armed for heavy combat. It was basically a cruiser, capital vessel. It had two oversized guns in the nose section and two long-range ion cannons in the nose section. Defensive capabilities included 38-point defense systems and another like 20 or so turbo laser turrets to protect it against enemy starfighters. It took about 6 of them to basically take on a Venator, so they weren't like super powerful, but what they did is make up in their numbers. They basically swarmed Republic ships, and that's how they overwhelmed the enemy, was through just being in mass. Now each ship was able to carry about 150,000 battle droids. It had a large amount of cargo materials that it could carry also. Being a frigate, it was like also a transport type vessel, and some of the bigger capital ships like the Providence class and the Recusant class were more of like attack type vessels. Now this set was actually designed by Primus. Like the Recusant class, I did show you guys that Primus is actually his name that he goes by outside of his LEGO group. His name is Hans Burkhard Schlomer. I hope I pronounced that right. But he is basically one of the main designers for the LEGO group in Star Wars, and he's the designer of the 75192 Millennium Falcon, as that's one of his more recent designs. So he is one of the more well-known designers in the LEGO group, and he has been a fan of Star Wars for a long time, and he's also like a space type nerd like I am. He likes Star Trek, he likes Battlestar Galactica, and he has his own website called Brick Commander where he shows off a lot of these builds that he had done in the early 2000s outside of the LEGO group, and basically just done for his own hobby purposes. And the Recusant class and the Munificent class were two of those that were designed around early 2004. Basically, in the last video I said that I tried to email him to get some input about the whole design process behind the Munificent and the Recusant class, and I wasn't able to get a hold of him then, but he actually finally did respond to me, surprisingly, as being as busy as he is. And he said, "Hi Aaron, thanks for your interest in my Munificent and Recusant class models. It has been many years since I built them, mainly to increase my fleet of Imperial Star Destroyer scale models. Spaceships built to the same scale as the UCS Star Destroyer. Please keep in mind that the model is quite old and could use an upgrade in terms of stability and play features. I'm looking forward to your improvements. My favorite LEGO theme, of course, is Star Wars, and I think that the 75192 USCS Millennium Falcon has been the most well-received set I have made so far, right behind the Episode 7 Falcon, which even won an award. Here's also a list of sets so far," and he gave me his brick set address, so I will post that in the description so you can check out more of his custom designs that he has done outside of the LEGO group. Now, like he said, this was designed around 2004 mainly as a reaction to the UCS Imperial Star Destroyer. So a lot of his models that he has designed are based on that same exact scale. So if I were to put this thing up to an Imperial Star Destroyer UCS 10030, I think the number is, this should be, you know, about an adequate size scale, you know, scale wise compared to it. You know, it's not going to be as big because in reality they weren't as big, but you should get an idea, you know, then what, you know, their actual size was. And I don't have one of those in my collection. It's one of like the 30 sets I am missing out of the entire Star Wars collection, and I'm so sad I can't put that in front of you. But you know, the Munificent class, and you know, in my end video you'll see them all put together, and you'll kind of get an idea once I show my whole Separatist fleet off in the next video. But I'm sure that he presented a lot of his ideas to the LEGO Group in those early years of Star Wars, but many of them were just not approved or pushed through because, you know, Star Wars was new then, and they were only approving so many designs, and they didn't know how it was really going to take off or not. And I think that was during the time that LEGO was having a crisis with the whole palette change, you know, and everything, and they're, you know, they had some troubles in the early 2000s from what I understand, and maybe they just did it to play it safe. But you know, it's great that, you know, someone who worked for LEGO, you know, went and did his own designs and gave more to the Star Wars community that we couldn't get from LEGO themselves. So I really appreciate him for that. Now, I do not know the exact number of pieces to this. I got it, the design in LDD. It was, like I said, reproduced off of his original design because he didn't have an LDD design back then, and he never really, you know, upgraded the design. And like he said in his email, his work was free for anybody to take and, you know, upgrade it and do whatever they wish with it. It was free to Creative Commons. So the person I got this design from, you know, had duplicated the design and upgraded it and made some minor modifications. Not too many, because the original design was great, and I don't really think there need to be any more upgrades because it's a simple but functional build. Now that's all I really have to say in terms of the background of this set. I don't want to make this a really long video. So, you know, I'm not feeling too well this week. I pulled out a back muscle, I got the flu, so I don't, you know, really have the energy to talk much, you know, this week. But, you know, I'll give you a little bit more details once we get into the close-ups coming right now. Here's the close-ups. As you can immediately see, this model is a great example of using curved slopes to maximum and great effect. The entire model is probably 75% slopes of different shapes and sizes. It has a lot of curved features, and this model, being as old as it is, does a great job in duplicating the features from the original designs. Now, the model is built to scale with the Imperial Star Destroyer, like I said before, and has no play function, so it is meant just for display purposes. It is a simple yet effective design, and has accurate recreations of the bridge, like you can see here, and rear fins, which contain some of the hyperdrives and point defense cannons. In the center you can see they use greebles to recreate the sensor arrays that were in the middle, and the top power cells that were in the rear of the ship, or the midsection of the ship. And then as you get down to the front, underneath you can see the two big cannons. Those were the biggest weapons on the ship, and supposedly they were powerful enough to melt a light ice moon, a small ice moon. And then you can see here there's more, you know, slopes and dishes, and you know, the engines themselves are also very basic, just using, you know, some round bricks. And like I said, this design is very old. One thing I don't like is how they got some of this showing right here. I feel like that could have been filled in somehow. My daughter was in here playing with it, and she knocked off one of these antenna pieces, so that's why that side is missing one. And as you can see in the front right here, you know, he used some of those rounded bricks instead of the square ones, which helped give this a little more texture. It's a great little touch I thought he did. And then We got the addition of the black stand. I don't know if that was an original feature, but it gives it a nice aesthetic addition. You know, even though the design is old, you know, I agree it could use some upgrades. But for its age and its purpose, it has, you know, a great aesthetic appeal, and it makes a great model regardless of, you know, how basic it is. And you know, in my opinion, sometimes too much gribbling and whatnot can make a design look kind of horrible. And personally, I prefer designs that are basic but functional, and this model is a great representation of that. Alright, that's all I really have for you guys today. Like I said, I was trying to make this one short and sweet compared to some of my other videos where I seem to talk too much. But like I said, it's a basic and functional design, and it serves its purpose, and I love it. It is probably one of my favorites, you know, in my collection. I'd have to definitely include it in my top 10 sets that I own, and I would recommend it to anybody. You know, just like any of the other separatist ships that I showed you in the past episodes, I would recommend any of these to add to your collection if you were looking to build a separatist navy, because LEGO has really shorthanded us in that category. Now, as a final reminder, I am still doing the giveaway. Once I get to 100 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away the 5 polybag lot. I'm going to stick everybody's name into a hat. Comments, if they're constructive, will get 2 entries. So subscribe and comment, and you can get 2 entries. If you just subscribe, you're going to get 1. That includes any of my videos I have posted up until that date. Included in the 5 polybag lot, I have a Pose X-Wing fighter, a First Order Star Destroyer, a U-Wing fighter, First Order Heavy Assault Walker, and the Target exclusive Mini Falcon. So please like and subscribe, and you will be entered for the chance to win that lot, and hopefully, you know, you'll be around for the next couple of videos that I make. Thanks for watching. Have a good week.